BrandsEye is a small software firm in Cape Town, South Africa. It measures consumer sentiment based on social media feeds. The company made headlines last year for being one of a handful of digital firms to correctly predict Donald Trump's presidential win. It also correctly predicted the UK's decision to leave the European Union ahead of the referendum last June. Most pollsters got both of those wrong. So what did BrandsEye do right? I spoke to the firm's founder and CEO, Jean-Pierre Kloppers.
We look at social media predominantly. We can process any unstructured data, but most of the opinion data that we look at is on social media. And so
And that's algorithms looking at that?
That's algorithms. So at a first pass, it's a keyword base. So we'd be looking for Remain or Leave, or Trump and Clinton, or the French elections candidates. And however people will speak about that, we'll track all of that data. The challenge then is you've got a relevancy issue. If people are speaking about Trump, is it somebody in New York looking for directions to Trump Towers, or is it about the candidate? And that's where we change gear away from algorithms to our crowdsourcing platform. So as that data comes in, we take a sample of it. In the US, it was in the battleground states, so we distill it to a state level and then take a couple thousand of those conversations, pass them through our crowd. And these are people who earn money from...
So the crowd are people?
It's people. Yeah. And they're people. We've got these crowds around the world in many different languages, and they earn money in the same way an Uber driver would earn money from doing a ride. These crowd raters earn money from processing data. So each mention they process, they get paid.
And so what does it involve? When you say process data, what does that human person do?
They essentially get asked three questions, and we can vary this. Is it relevant? So i.e., is this about the US elections? Secondly, what's the sentiment towards Trump, if it's about Trump? And it's multiple people on each piece of information. So each one tweet or Facebook post, whatever it is, gets sent to multiple raters, and they have to agree across a broad base of conversation.
These humans give it proper context.
And if they get it wrong, they don't get paid. So they're highly incentivized to get it right.
Okay, I was going to say, because it's a very expensive system and very labor intensive as well.
It is, but that's where crowdsourcing is beautiful. We can almost monetize time which people ordinarily wouldn't have been able to.
So is that why do you think you got your predictions right for Brexit and Trump where other pollsters didn't? Because you have that human element,
absolutely.
Because you didn't use algorithms all the way?
Yeah. In the Brexit example, one of the big social listening companies put out their prediction, which was 58% Remain. And it's close, but it's wrong.
Yeah, completely wrong.
Exactly. And that's where margin of error is critical. And so and an algorithm will be 60% accurate, which if you may be trying to do a dipstick test on, give me a ballpark figure of how people feel on an issue, you may get the right answer. But where it's becoming mission critical, and increasingly both in politics and in kind of the corporate world, understanding how customers feel or how the public feels is mission critical. And so algorithms just aren't cutting it in terms of getting to the level of accuracy that people need.
And your technique, is that standard practice in your line of business, or
No.
are you quite unusual that way?
We're the only company in the world that's doing it like this. I think because...
Why aren't others doing it? I mean, clearly it's obviously you're getting the right results.
It's hard. So getting a distributed group of people who you don't control, i.e. as employees, to do exactly what you want them to do is very hard. We've been working on that problem for many, many years. When social media started kind of exploding and volume became an issue, all the major companies in the world switched to using algorithms to solve that. Us being born out of South Africa with a very high unemployment rate, we took a different path to say, well, we have all these people who need work. Let's try and create opportunities for people to work. And so that was the primary motivator back then. And so we've almost stumbled into this world where we now, because of that, are able to do things which nobody else in the world can do.
And do you think that that's something that will be overcome? Do you think algorithms are getting better? That I wonder if this is something that whether one day you won't need to use crowdsourcing anymore, you can just let the algorithms do it.
I think that question's in the realm of when will self-driving cars take over? It's like, yeah, it'll happen, but we're not sure when. It's kind of a good couple of years away. And I think how we view that problem is until that day arrives, we're going to keep kind of keeping humans in the loop, because our algorithms learn from the people. And so what we're aiming for long term is that, yes, our algorithms will be smarter than anybody else's because we've been able to train them much better than others would be able
But
to.
it's still making an assumption, isn't it? It's making that assumption that an algorithm can do what a crowdsourcing person does, which is essentially make a value judgment.
Yeah, which
I
at the moment it can't, and it feels like that's still a long way off. Conversations move and the way people speak changes and new words enter the lexicon. And unless your algorithms can constantly learn and stay up to date, they're going to make the wrong call. And even the best in the world, the IBMs and the Googles, they haven't been able to crack this yet.
Jean-Pierre Kloppers there. You're listening to Business Daily from the BBC with me, Manuela Saragossa.